is doing very well, and I'm sure you're all buzzing to find out what the second half of Zoe's video is. You know, who's the other two sides of the same coin. You know, we've got the tails, but who's the heads? Who is the soulmate of the Acraea africana? Love is so beautiful. It's something that many can't put into words. You know, we have plays and poems and songs and books, and none of it, people truly still don't know how to define what love is. You know, how do you know when you're in love? How do you know when you found the one? How do you know when you found the one? Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. You know, how do you define love? Am I stalling for time? Maybe a little bit, because I feel like this video is quite short, but let's think about it. Because, you know, love is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's something that we're so lucky to experience, and I can't think of anything else to say on it. This week we're going to be talking about the Acraea horta, also known as the garden Acraea, also known as brush-footed butterflies. These butterflies are mostly found in South Africa and Zimbabwe, and they're part of the family Nymphalidae. They're active most of the year, but they are mostly abundant in October and April. Now, these butterflies look very similar to monarch butterflies, but they are quite different when you actually take a closer look. So basically, the male butterflies have an orange-red colouring on both of their wings, and the forewings are translucent. And where the orange meets the clear part of the wing, you can see a small black band, and the hind wing has some additional black spots and a black checkered border when on the wing's margin. And so the females as well, the colour that dominates these wings is a cream colour, but they also do have the same translucent apex, and they have a similar patterning to the one that you can see in males. The wingspan of these butterflies is about 45 to 50 millimeters for males and 49 to 53 millimeters for females. They are also diurnal, which is the opposite of nocturnal, and basically, you know what people are. You are awake during the day and asleep during the night. You may be wondering how this fits into Zoe's video. Well, the larvae of this butterfly actually feed on the Acraea africana, and that's where we see this symbiotic relationship take hold. Now, symbiosis is the interaction between two different organisms living in a close physical association, typically to the advantage of both. So symbiosis exists in three different forms. The first is commensalism, parasitism, and mutualism. Commensalism is where one organism benefits greatly from the symbiosis and the other isn't helped, but it also isn't harmed or hindered in any way. So it's basically a one-sided relationship. An example of this would be the relationship between cattle egrets and cattle. Basically, when the cattle forages, the cattle egrets eat the insects that are disturbed from this. So we can see that this doesn't harm and it doesn't benefit the cattle. We also have parasitism, which is where one organism benefits from the relationship at the expense of the other. An example of this would be fleas and mosquitoes, where they feed off the blood of an organism and the host has to stay alive, but it's also not greatly harmed. But there are also some other more harmful versions of this, like tapeworms, where they actually feed off the diet of the host organism. Our final version of symbiosis is known as mutualism, where both partners benefit, and many of these relationships are long lasting. So an example of this is the relationship between the Acraea africana and the Acraea horta. A butterfly garden is more about the relationship between the larvae and the leaves rather than the relationship between the butterflies and the flowers. And so according to a very useful website that I found, and I will link it below, the eggs are laid in neat clusters on a leaf of the food plant. They are pale yellow at first, but change to chocolate and finally to purplish brown. They take about 9 days to hatch, when the young larvae eats a hole in the shell near the top. After crawling through this hole, they proceed to eat the discarded shell. The butterfly feeds on the leaves of the tree and they completely defoliate it, but once the larvae pupate, the tree bursts back into leaf because it's fertilized by all the droppings that the larvae have left behind. The peach has evolved to sprout this second flush of leaves after the Acraea defoliate it, and then the droppings act as a fertilizer, so we can see that both parties benefit, and thus it is a mutualistic relationship. Aside from this, they also feed on passiflora, which are known as the passion flowers or passion vines, and the Taxonia species, which is more commonly known as the banana passion fruit. So probably the most common kind of butterfly found on the Cape Peninsula. These butterflies are very easily spotted in most gardens. And the second half of Zoe's love story. Now I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm very sorry that it was a short video, but you know, 2 short videos make a long video. And that's just how much Zoe and I complete each other. We just, when one makes a short video, the other makes a short video. You can't have them both. And I hope everyone believes a little bit more in love now, because I think that is a true example of what it means to be with your soulmate, you know? Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you're all nurturing nature. See you next week with Zoe's video.